Okay. Right. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Lawrence here again from MVRugby, and yeah, what a weekend it was. I feel I say that a lot these days. URC Round 4. Um, Quite a bit surprises, have to admit, going on in that section of the world. Um, we had the Bulls versus Ospreys, the Lions versus the Dragons, and then of course the Stormers versus Edinburgh, and the Sharks versus Benetton, which is probably the most well, the biggest upset of the season. Um, but what can I say? Let's rather just let it roll and let's get into it. Yes, so Bulls versus Ospreys, in probably one of the most magnificent shows of this entire season. The Bulls made it out of that absolute riveting confrontation with flying colours, having a red card shown to David Creel, of course, brother of Jesse Creel, the infamous Springbok, and yeah, two yellow cards preceding that, one for Arigelo and then the one for Chekweni. That, yeah, in a bit was, I feel, kind of not really justified, but yeah, the red card on David Creel. Look, he was basically doing a charge down, ball in hand. He's trying to do a strong carry. Now, as we see so many times that's happened in rugby in general, when a guy goes for a tackle, the ball carrier usually tries to fend the player off with by hand, with a shoulder or forearm or by hand and everything. In this case, however, the tackler dipped into the tackle as they normally do, with that resulted in an unfortunate forearm connecting with his head. Of course, the forearm belonged to David Creel, and he was then summarily given a red card for that. Now, I don't feel that was, that much of a high degree of danger. So, justified for a red card? Don't think so. I don't know. What do you guys think? Give me your comments below. Let's see what your thoughts are on the whole situation. I think probably just a sort of a 10-minute yellow card would have been more justified, or just a penalty. But usually this is what happens. A ball carrier gets the ball, he tries to go for a carry, to try and make his beaters, as any ball carrier would do. And then if a tackler comes in, he normally just tries to fend the tackler off by putting his hand in front of him, bracing him off or anything with a forearm, with a hand. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that the kind of position went a bit of awry as the player dipped into the tackle. So yellow card may be at a stretch, but a red card definitely not. I don't think that was absolutely justified. But yet still, being three players down, and two players at the most at quite a most of the game, the Bulls still managed to win that, bringing it out 29-19 in the favor of the Bulls. Brilliantly played by the players there. It was an absolute group great effort by players like Papier and Arendse. Of course, the Willie Leroux as well, brilliant play by him, up and over, to a cross kick to Orense, is securing one of Orense's best tries for the game. So absolutely, seen some of the most fantastic play by professional rugby players in that game. I think that will probably go down in history as the best game of this entire URC season here. But yeah, that was the fact that they were two players down and still managed to win the game just speaks volumes of the absolute power, tenacity, and the brilliance of the Bulls' gameplay. And never mind the kind of problems that they faced in the game. There was quite a bit of a tussle up about, because I mean, Tsekweni was one of the front row players, one of the tight head props. And for him to be, to now be giving the yellow card, plus the Ulrich Low, also another front row player, getting a yellow card as well. So the Bulls were down quite a bit in the scrummaging. So there had to be some major changes made, and which kind of delayed play for quite a bit. So if World Rugby wants to get games flowing, I think they should have a look at some of these referees nitpicking at mistakes made by players throughout the game, because it really doesn't help for the absolute flow of a game, and trying to rather keep the game running as they are only short of time and having 18 minutes of gameplay. They want to cram as much game time into that time, so which is why World Rugby normally comes up with, or they say this is why they make all the rule changes. But yeah, that is up for the debate. I feel Edinburgh versus Stormers. Not one of the best displays of the Stormers. Plagued with a lot of ball handling errors, unforced errors, as the Edinburgh team kept up the pressure from the start of the game. Managed to get one try in by Davian Willemse, brilliant try, which was disallowed, unfortunately, because yet again, by Ben Whitehouse nitpicking at the, most, him and his TMO, really. I don't think that it's just Ben Whitehouse's can be completely to blame for this, as the TMO had quite a large hand in that. JD Shackleton's rip being, or turnover ball being turned over, funny enough, because the tackled player or the ball carrier having his knee touch the ground as he ripped the ball, just at that moment. So TMO comes in, he starts nitpicking at the whole situation and concluded that JD Shackleton had to let go of the ball as soon as the player's knee touched the ground. But the two situations happened simultaneously. So exactly how was he supposed to let go of the ball as he's ripping the thing as the guy's knees touching the ground? That rip obviously resulted in Damien Willemse's try, which means now the try was disallowed. The only successful try for the Stormers was scored by Ruan Nel, which was then converted by Damien Willemse. Which is basically the only points for the Stormers of the game. I do feel, the refs really dodgy calls could have made. Look, there was no realistic way I feel that the Stormers would have won that game, but I think the scoreboard would have looked a lot different. It would look a lot stronger for the Stormers. I mean, they wouldn't have to go home with a losing score of 38-7. I feel that was a bit unfair on that side. Thompson was, of course, a real thorn in the side of the Stormers, scoring 4 tries in that entire game. So, which basically was evidence of the Edinburgh players making a real strong effort in this game. The Stormers just couldn't catch up, couldn't hold up the fort against them. They had strong defence. I mean, there was I think about 2 or 3 times when the Edinburgh team really started pushing right up to the try line, and the Stormers kept fending them off, phase after phase, pick and go after pick and go, in a real strong fashion. So the Stormers really had their defense down. It's just the ball handling errors and the unforced errors that, unfortunately, in my view, kind of cost them the game, really. Then again, Sharks versus Benetton, and probably the most largest upset in this entire season. Benetton winning the Sharks 38-10. So what happened there, guys? Finished very strongly in the Currie Cup finals. Gave the Lions an absolute bludgeoning in probably one of the most epic clashes of any Currie Cup in history, making one of the most epic finishing clashes against the Bulls in the semi-finals in the Currie Cup, going into overtime, almost a full 10-20 minutes into overtime, where they finally managed to secure the victory for themselves. Seeing them going into the finals against the Lions, and then winning the Lions with a nail-biting, I think, 1 or 2 points. Really becoming a strong contender for the Currie Cup final there. So facing up against Benetton, to lose against them 38-10, I don't know whose performance were worse. Sharks or the Stormers, as Tim from Egg Chasers has said, quite rightly. But I believe both teams fought really hard to, come in and try and make some kind of a play of it. Unfortunately, Stormers being plagued by a lot of ball handling errors. That's something they're going to need to watch in the future of this URC season, and so also the Sharks being on the receiving end of strong pressure from the Benetton players, and really good running rugby, and fantastic tries being scored by Benetton time after time. They just kept the pressure on, forcing errors from the Sharks that really didn't do them any kind of favors. One penalty goal by Siamasuku, and then one try by Mkunu that was then converted by Lionel Cronje, excuse me. So not really one of the top performers for the Sharks of their career, really. I was sitting there quite stunned, and I'm thinking, was this the team that really walked away with the Currie Cup championship? It almost looked like it wasn't the same team. That's how surprised I was at that. Lions versus Dragons the very next day on Sunday. Really strong play, and then also from the Dragons, trying to make a fantastic comeback. It was a seesaw matchup, really, between the two for most of the game. A lot of tries scored on both sides. Then the yellow card for Marie that kind of put them on the back leg. They kind of brought up a bit more of an opportunity for the Dragons to close the gap between them and the Lions. Steyn and Nohamba scoring most of the points in conversions of penalty goals and tries. Very hard-fought match for both teams, and I do believe the best team won there. Sharks a really great contender for just absolute wonderful rugby. Sharks, Lions. But they were the better team of the day, winning 23-19 against the Dragons. And absolute fantastic performance and entertaining play for the whole weekend. So looking forward to another fantastic weekend of rugby. But let me just play you guys out for this episode with that brilliant sort of cross kick by Valileroux that led to the try by Kirtley Arendse, and also the Papier try that he ran through a whole line of of defenders that saw him score that absolutely wonderful try. I want to show you that, guys, those clips just in just a second. But we looking at round 5 for the URC this coming weekend. The Sharks versus the Glasgow Warriors. That's going to be a interesting matchup. And then the Stormers versus Munster. Really strong team. RG Snyman's sort of home for the moment until he once again hopefully joins the Springboks pretty soon. Yeah, so Stormers, you guys are really going to have to jack up your game. Dobson, you're going to have some strong words for the games, and I hope you can inspire them to some really fantastic feats this coming weekend, because Munster is an absolutely strong team. Probably one of the strongest teams next to Leinster and Ulster, coming into this URC season. So, yeah, guys, you're going to have to really pull some miracles out the hat, on Saturday. Lions versus Zebra, I think that's going to be a no-brainer. Zebra really hasn't been performing very well this season. Benetton, I think, is definitely carrying the laurel wreath for Italy at this time. They are a really strong team. Came from obscurity because in previous years they really haven't been performing that well. For them to make such a comeback, and against the Sharks, it's just fantastic performances by them. And for what we saw in previous, the weekend before that, I can't remember who they played. I think it was Munster, either Munster or Connacht, and they really did well. They really did fantastically well. No, sorry, it was the Glasgow Warriors that they played against. And although the Warriors won that game, they really had a fantastic play and really strong contendership for that match. Then Bulls coming in against the Scarlets on Friday, so that's definitely going to be another game to look out for. So yeah, out of all the South African teams involved in the URC, definitely the Bulls and the Lions are the teams to watch. Stormers and Sharks, guys, really going to need to try and have some really hard practicing sessions to kind of make a comeback in this season, because there's still hope. There is still quite hope. I mean, this is just the starting few rounds in the URC, so still pretty much far off from the finals and semi-finals. So guys, you have some time. Please surprise us, as we know that only you guys can. The first time the URC was introduced, the Stormers came in really hard. They won that season. Sure, there is a lot of the Springboks that's not with the Stormers at the moment. Also with the Sharks, even Etzebeth, Siya Kolisi, that's not with them. But they do have Trevor Nyankane. The Stormers have got Damien Willemse. They've got Warren Galant. Ruan Nel is although very much of advanced age, probably won't be featuring within any Springbok team anytime soon, but a very strong contender for a Springbok jersey. And they do have quite a lot of players that still is very much Springbok material. Joseph Dweba didn't play this last weekend. He was one of the water carriers or water boys. But yeah, would he have made a difference? Like I've said so many times, one man doesn't make a team. So yeah, we're going to need hopefully we're hoping to see some great improvements from the Stormers and the Sharks in this coming weekend, and then of course really holding thumbs for the Bulls and the Lions to keep their winning streak going in the URC. Seeing a real great challenge there between those two teams for the semi and the finals there. And then please guys, give me your thoughts on this last week's games. What do you think about the refereeing? I do really think there were some really dubious calls coming out, some really unnecessary nitpicking by referees and TMOs. in these last weekend's games. It's almost like they wanted to remain relevant. It's like not really having much to do, so they try and find and nitpick errors that they could look at. Although in the Stormers games, there were pretty much a lot of ball handling errors, unforced errors, and everything. So I mean, the ref really had his work cut out for him to kind of come in and start nitpicking at these kind of things. Really, I thought could have just been left over there. I thought it was just completely unnecessary. So yeah, give me your thoughts, and if you haven't done so, please give me a like and subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm. Putting my, I mean, I'm doing this as a hobby. I'm not getting anything from it, so it's just me alone. And it's because I love talking about the game and love talking about bringing it to you guys and talking to you guys about it. So please give me your thoughts, and give me a like and subscribe if you haven't done so. And I'll be seeing you this coming weekend as we all watch our favorite game being played. Some really strong contenders and strong teams. Shout out to the Springbokies who didn't make it against the Italian women's team this last weekend, but really holding thumbs for you guys going forward as well. That's it from me, guys. I'll be signing off, and keep very safe this weekend. Take care of yourself and your family and loved ones, and I'll be seeing you this next week as I do my review of round 5 for the URC. From me, have a good evening and peace out.
In the lineup for Ospreys, and that is gathered by Bulls, and away goes Papier. Serious gas from the scrum half, and he's going to score. We're going to send that to the skies. De Klerk wants to challenge for this. Bounces off the chest and into the hands of Kane Moody. It's there for the second ball. Bulls back in the 22. Lovely nudge into space. Kurtley Arenza gets his second try.